Gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about a very serious topic, one that has haunted heavyset people since the beginning of time. We're talking about body shaming and how to handle it. Here on Big Pretty Man. Hi, and welcome back to Big Pretty Man, a channel for the extra large man who wants to live his life large and in charge. I'm your host, Timothy Big Pretty Crowe. I'm a wardrobe and lifestyle consultant for the extra large man. And you know what? It's something negative that can affect that feeling large and in charge and the lifestyle of a heavyset person that we're going to talk about today. And of course, I'm talking about body shaming, and for the extra large person, fat jokes. Now, throughout history, it's been very common. It's one of the negative things of human nature to make fun of or be afraid of anything that is different or anyone that is different. And it seems to be an instinctive thing for people to see someone unhealthy in either way, shape, or form and see them as a source of fear, because we instinctively fear disease and death. And see someone who's considered unhealthy, whether they have some sort of skin issue, they're overly thin, or they're overly fat, to see them as something unhealthy and therefore something repulsive and frightening. And it comes out, socially and personally in insults, jokes, so that they can psychologically deal with it. Now, and this has existed since the beginning of time. However, at one point, it looks like even in our most ancient times, heavyset people were maybe even worshipped. We do have the Dusseldorf Venus, one of the oldest human artifacts, and it shows a very fat body of a woman with large pendulous breasts, large belly, and it looks like this may be an early depiction from caveman days of an earth goddess, one of the oldest forms of worship in history. However, throughout most of history, heavyset people have been mocked and made fun of, and the source of jokes. We see this going back to ancient manuscripts and on up until medieval times, and the mockery of heavyset people. Even one of the kings of England, George IV, who was a heavy man, we see mockery and a lot of cartoons and polemics against him. And one of the things, he wasn't a very good king, and it was a bit excessive and indulgent, but that is shown through his laziness and his complacency, is shown through this artistic depiction of him fat with his pants open and a piss pot behind him. And all this food and drink around him. So it's seen as something as negative in society. And that's something that now, and I'm not telling any fat person out there, or extra large person or extra large person out there, the facts of this. Heavyset people are become very used to being mocked, being made fun of, and the source of fat jokes and the source of fat sarcasm and insult. It just becomes a part of your life. And most heavyset people become very thick-skinned about it. They let it roll off of them. They try not to allow it to hurt their feelings, but it does over time take a toll, chipping away at the wall of one's self-esteem. And really, it is a fact of life that we've come to accept. But at the same time, we should not allow this to affect our self-esteem, affect our own body view, our own self-worth. Never, ever allow anyone and something that comes out of their mouth to affect your own self-esteem, your own self-worth. Don't allow it. That is my main theme here in this video. In this video, we're going to talk about the different options of approach to these type of insults and body shaming, both from your own perspective and peace of mind to actions that you can take to at least curb it, maybe even stop it, and force, if you have to, people to respect you enough to keep their mouth shut. So let's get started on that. Now, the first two approaches to handling fat jokes, and body shaming are ones that'll be very familiar to heavyset people, to extra large people, to fat people. And that is ignoring and nullification. The first is just literally to ignore comments or body shaming. Just to let it go. It's not worth it. You can't change the world. You can't fight the world. So, some things you just got to let go. It's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the jail sentence. It's not worth almost maybe even getting physically harmed or having to harm someone else. So you just let it go. Just let it slide off your back. But now this approach is really circumstantial and situational. I think it only applies in certain situations. It's not the universal way to handle body shaming and fat jokes. What I'm talking about in these situations is like somebody drives by and yells some insult, fat ass, fat guy, lose weight, go on a diet, blah, 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 whatever, as they're driving by. You can't do anything about that. They're gone. It's a cowardly act anyway. It's childish, juvenile. You just let it go. Maybe flip them off. You'll kiss my ass and just go on about your day. It's just an idiot. It's not worth the time and the possible trouble. I completely agree with that. It's meaningless. It's an act of a childish coward. Who cares? Who gives a crap? Move on with life. Next page. Now, and in those situations, I think that's a very fine way to handle it. And it shouldn't really affect you. It's an idiot. Who cares? But however, there are other situations where you can also use this ignoring trait. And the number one place is on the internet. On the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, all the rest. Someone makes a comment, people make comments. And here's the thing with the internet is that people get, because it is impersonal, because they're not in front of you physically, because they're at the safety of their own home and behind faceless behind a keyboard, people get what I call keyboard brave. And they will say things that they would never say to your face. That they never say anything. They even think about saying to someone in person. And it's just an excuse to say what you want and insult as you want for your own insecurities and your own sad satisfaction. Making fun of someone else or making some comment about someone else without any repercussions, somehow makes you feel better about your sad life. And that's the type of people that these are. Mostly they are trolls. And the best thing you can do there is do not feed a troll. A troll is the same as a bully. Bullies want a reaction. That's what they're going for. They want you to fire back. They want you to get mad. They want that reaction out of you. Don't give them the pleasure. The best way to piss off a troll online is to ignore them. Just ignore them. Just delete them, block them without a word said. And the more they've written, the better, because nothing will aggravate them more than them not being heard. You're treating them like they truly are. Insignificant. Their opinion means nothing. They are no one. Bye. That is the best statement you can make. You rose above it. You showed them exactly what they are, that you're a better person than they are. And what they say and do, just like the rest of their lives, is insignificant to you and the rest of the world. Bye. Click. Bye. That's the best way to handle it. And you're wondering about, I should have made some response. You made the best response you can make. You pissed them off and aggravated them far more than if you'd have fired back and called them every kind of son of a bitch but a milk cow. Trust me, that's what they want. Don't give a troll what they want. Don't feed a troll. Just cut it off. Let it starve and go away. It's the best way to handle that situation online. And for instance, on this channel, body shaming is completely restricted, is not tolerated. I've had people make comments, on my videos. Hey, why don't you just lose some weight? That'll fix all your problems, or some other denigrating comment. I don't say a word. Click. You're blocked from my channel. This is not a democracy. Big Pretty Man's not a democracy. It is mine, and I am king of it. And if you make some comment or leave something on some video that is shaming people or mocking people, you're gone. You are warned. Right? Now, the next situation, which would not fit ignoring, is when people nullify. Now, nullification of fat jokes and body shaming is probably one of the oldest and most effective defenses, at least in passing. And that is making fun of yourself, making fun of your own weight. Because once you do that, anything they say is just going to be extra commentary on what you've already said. You've just nullified, took the venom, pulled the fangs out of any fat jokes. You've already said it. And it's a very common and useful, effective method. Comedians, heavyset comedians, are very famous for that. One of the best at doing this, and he did it with some dignity, was the late John Panette. I love John Panette. When I did comedy, I actually met John Panette and we had dinner and drinks together. A wonderful, sweet human being that's a real loss to the world. But in John was a big guy, but in John's comedy, he would often make fun of his weight and his love of eating, and some of the things about going to Chinese buffets and getting thrown out, to his water skiing and going down a water slide and causing a tidal wave that threw people out of the pool. Some of these things, he made fun of himself. However, and I've had a lot of people say, John Panette he just made that fat jokes okay. He enforced people to say these type of things. I really don't think so. I think that John's motive was very same as like with Richard Pryor and his drug use. Same thing with Robin Williams with his obvious mental issues. He was obviously a bipolar person, or other comedians that have made fun of themselves as a source of comedy. And he took his own insecurities about his weight. He took his own facts about his size, and he made it funny. He took something that could be negative and he made it into a positive. And that was his way, more of his therapy of dealing with being an extra large person. He did try to diet and lose some weight. Unfortunately, he may have done that a little too much, which may have caused a heart attack in his sleep. It was a real loss, and I was very upset when I heard that he passed. Brilliant comedian. Didn't get as much fame as I thought he should have. But anyway. That approach, and I think a lot of us have used that. I've used it. I've made comments about me being big, and just maybe a lot of times it's good to break the ice about it. Just not so much a defense, but addressing literally the elephant in the room. I'm a fat guy, and I've made little comments about myself, sometimes negative, sometimes funny. Because not so much to nullify, because they're reality. They're part of my physical reality. But now it does work. A lot of people do it just to push away the negative comments. Because once you've said it, them saying anything else is really going to be, you've pulled the power out of it, pulled the fangs out of it, like I said. And that's a very common defense. The bad side of that is if you are doing it because you are ashamed of yourself and it's your way of almost apologizing for it. You should never apologize for who and what you are, no matter how you look, no matter what you are. You know why? Because no one is perfect. Nobody. There are people out there too thin. There's people out there with skin problems, people over freckled. People who don't have the most attractive face, big noses. No one is perfect. That doesn't exist. So therefore, you're imperfect physically from a health point of view because you have excess weight. You don't fit that ideal of the perfect physique. But then who does? So, if you're making jokes about yourself because you're ashamed of yourself, that's bad. If you're just making jokes over the obvious and the funny parts of everything that heavyset people have to deal with, well, that's okay. That's comedy. You're laughing at yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. People should not take themselves so serious, both negative or positive. So I don't see anything wrong with it. It's all with when it comes to this nullification approach, it matters on literally the approach and the perspective you're having in it. So just bear that in mind whenever you're making fun of yourself. Make sure that it's, you're laughing at yourself, not just trying to keep other people from laughing at you or as some sort of apology to other people. Then that's bad. Now I'm going to talk about the more hard-line approach, the more hardcore approach, and that is not putting up with fat jokes and body shaming for a minute. Just you are not going to tolerate it. You're going to insist on some respect. Now, like I said, this is not always the approach to take. Like I said, it's all the reactions to body shaming and fat jokes are circumstantial and based on context. Somebody driving by yells something, ignore it. Somebody on the internet says something, block them. It's not worth your time. You rise above it. However, there are certain circumstances where you must stand your ground and must stand up and say, I'm not putting up with this. I will not put up with this disrespect or this abuse. And make it not worth doing. Specifically in the workplace or with somebody in authority or someone in your circle, like a friend that keeps in a circle of friends that keeps making fun of you, or someone in the workplace you see every day constantly making you the source of jokes and ridicule. Perhaps a professor or teacher who is doing this to you. Do not put up with it. Do not take it. This is a form of bullying, flat and simple. This type of ridicule, this type of mockery, this type of open disrespect, is a form of bullying. And, if you allow it, it will continue. And while it continues and you keep swallowing it, it eats away at your own self-esteem. It's your own self-pride. It's your own self-imagery. That you can never allow. As I said in the beginning, never allow anyone's mouth to change your own self-worth and your sense of self-worth and your self-respect. Let nothing take that away from you. I said in my video on being a gentleman, there's a certain point that you have to of honor, personal respect, where you have to draw a line. And that is the line of your respect. And you do not allow anyone to step over that line without severe consequences. Now, I'm not saying violence. That just causes you more trouble. And I'd say that would be an absolute last resort. They can run their mouth all they want. Put your hands on them and suddenly you're legally in trouble. And they're not worth that. You're just allowing them to even worse affect your life. But there are other ways to make it clear you're not going to put up with it. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have consequences. Because one thing with a bully, whether it's a physical bully or a verbal bully, that they don't want and they don't like is resistance. They don't like every time they do it to have a challenge at them. It becomes not worth it. They'll find another target. Just like I told my boys when they were younger, if somebody's bullying you and picking on you, punch them in the nose. And every time they do it again, punch them in the nose. It doesn't matter if you win the fight. They may beat the crap out of you. But make sure that every time they do it, they have to earn it. Promise you, they'll stop. You become not worth it every day. It's like if I say something, it's going to be a fight again. He's already busted me in the head, even though I beat the hell out of him. Make it not worth their time. Same thing as an adult in the workplace or in the social place. In the workplace, they are actually breaking the rules and the law, because it is seen as a form of harassment, and do not put up with it. Report them. Don't be afraid to report them. You have whistleblower rules that do not affect you. If someone is ridiculing and making fun of your weight, making you the source of jokes, especially with groups of other people, don't take it. What I'd recommend there is basically a threefold approach. One, if someone is doing this, making you the butt of jokes, making fun of your weight, saying things, that are body shaming you. First thing I'd do is I would go up to them. I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm going to go up there and catch them alone and say, hey, listen, come here a minute. These things you're saying, you may be saying them as a joke and funny. I'm not finding them funny. I'm finding them hurtful. And I want it to stop. Now, I'm going to ask you nicely this time to stop. If it happens again, we're going to go to the next level. Do you understand me? Do we have an agreement? And then, then you go from what they say. If they agree to it, fine, let it go. If they either give you a argument and I want to fight you about it, debate you with it, and suddenly start insulting, go straight to the HR person at your work and register a complaint. Let them answer for it. Either way, you're making it clear I'm not putting up with this. I'll go to what stages I have to make it stop. You will shut your mouth on me. And if I hear you talking about me to other people, I'll see to it that stops. You draw that line and don't let them step a toe over it. And now if they say yeah, I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that, and then turn around and do it again, go straight to HR. Say I'm not putting up with this. You take care of it, or I'll see you guys, and I'll see this company in court. I will, take it to what levels it has to go to make it stop. And and the other approach is, after I've said something nicely, and said, please stop this. Now, if they turn around and do it again, well, now you're going to get the other reaction, and it's not going to be passive. I am going to stand in your face and be like, say it again to me. What do you got to say about, say it again. I am daring you to say it again. You're going to shut your damn mouth about me. Or me and you are going to step outside this property. We'll see how you handle a fat boy then. Now you're going to shut up? And then say, you know what? I'll have a job for this. I'm not putting up with you anymore. I'm going to HR right now and I'm reporting you. And anybody else in here want to say anything, I'll put you right in there with them. And if y'all don't like it, I'll leave at 4:30. I'll see you out on the street. And that's how you handle it. Sometimes I'd say that's the last resort. But either way, you make sure you've crossed the line, and now you'll deal with me for crossing that line. As my mother says, if I have something against you, I'm going to shove it straight through you. And I got the weight behind me to do it. Do not allow these people to affect your self-respect, your self-esteem, and do not suffer their disrespect. Demand respect. You'll either naturally respect me, or I'll force you to fear not to respect me. Now, like I said, this is circumstantial to places that you cannot get away. It's not something in passing, not some stranger walking by, not something. This is a situation you have to deal with on a daily basis. Don't deal with it. Don't make deals with them. Deal with it. And let it be known, you will respect me, or you'll fear not to respect me. But either way, I will see to it that it stops. Okay? Now, what I just described with, the ignoring, the nullification, and the not putting up with it, those are going to protect your own self-esteem and your self-respect. And in the case where you stand up, like I said, and get in their face and be like, I'm not putting up with this, especially to bullies, you're making it not worth the bully's time. Because every time they do it, you're going to step to them like that. And the bully's a coward down deep, and they will find somebody else to make fun of that'll be more passive about it. However, there is a deeper perspective that you need to accept if you really want these fat jokes and this ridicule to curb. And that is to have self-confidence in yourself. Confidence in who you are. And do not, part of that confidence, be ashamed of anything about you. Not about your opinions, not about your looks, and not about your weight and the shape of your body. Now, I talk in all my other videos about how to dress to hide the roundness, to make you look your best with the body you have. But note in all of that, I'm not saying to try and disguise that you're a fat person. I'm just saying to make yourself look the best that you can, which everyone should do, of any size. And and the tips I've give about what to wear, what not to wear, what fat people really have give up the rights to, as far as dress. All of that applies to making you look your best, but it never says to deny what you are. You are a fat person. You're an overweight person. You do not. Your physique is not that of, some perfect weightlifter or some athlete. You have the big belly. You have the big breasts. You have the big butt. You have the cellulite. That's part of. But that is part of who you are. And you should not be ashamed of that. Now, if you don't like that or you're worried about it for your health, then do something about it, like I've always said. But at the same time, don't be ashamed of it. Why? Because, as I said, no one is perfect. No one has a perfect body. Nobody is a perfect person, even if they have a close to perfect body. Everybody has something. There's no, only God is perfect. Everybody else is naturally flawed. So, don't be ashamed of who you are. Be confident and have self-worth and project that self-worth by not being ashamed of yourself. I know a lot of big guys that don't want to take their shirt off, don't want people to see, their heavy-set body. They're very conscientious about that. Well, here's the thing. When you're that, just like, you get back what you put out there in your dress. Same thing in your mentality. If you are self-conscious, if you have a lower self-esteem about yourself, if you're ashamed of yourself, other people are going to pick up on that, and that's a weakness they're seeing. And there are certain people out there, these bullies and troll types, that are going to harp on that. They're going to come at that in a very predatory way. They're going to sense that in you, and they're going to see you as a target. Don't be their target. Why? Because you're a person of self-respect, and you're a person who is not ashamed of who they are. When I go to the beach, I take my shirt right off. I don't give a damn. This is my body. This is what I am. Is it perfect? No. Is it an issue? Is it a physical issue? Yes. But you know what? It's not all that I am, and I'm not ashamed of it. I think for a fat man, I'm a very attractive fat man. Hell, I'm big pretty. And I'm big pretty with a shirt on or not. I'm not ashamed of my body. Does it need work? Yes, so does everybody else. This is just what I'm dealing with. I went to a pool party at a friend's house a few weeks ago, and I pulled my shirt off, got right in the pool. And the beautiful thing was there was a lot of people there like me. Their bodies was not perfect, definitely not runway, and nobody cared. Nobody looked at it. There were some people in some good shape, but nobody paid attention to that. Nobody, because we were all we let it go. We all knew we were mostly older people, and none of our bodies were perfect. Some of us were overweight. We didn't care. We're walking around with our shirts off and all that. And it was a wonderful day. It was really nice. I did not feel judgment at all. And even if they had been judging me, that's their judgment. You got your own things to deal with. Don't worry about me. And you know what? I projected that self-confidence. I'm confident myself. I'm pretty. I'm a big, heavy, handsome man. And that's what I put out there. And that's what people sensed. And believe it or not, an attitude is the number one thing about attraction. Confident people do well with the opposite sex or the same sex, matters on what your preference. They actually succeed more, and and that is not determinative of their size, whether they're athletic looking, a little bit pudgy, or fat, or overly skinny. It's that confidence in themselves, not being self-conscious, that's just coming off of you like an aroma, like for other people to pick up. No, they're not picking up the aroma of self-conscious. They're picking up the shine of a confident person who's, no matter what they look like, that's what's coming off of them. And I'm that type of person. I am not ashamed of my body. In fact, I will prove it right here. So here I stand in my nothing but my damn drawers. To everybody on the internet, to everybody on YouTube, standing here bare, No tailored shirts, no suits, no fancy ties, no fancy hats, just my body and my drawers. And the only thing I'm concerned about here when I did this is not my body, is make sure my drawers are clean. I ain't worried about my pendulous boobs, my hairy chest, my hairy back, my pendulous belly. You know what? Here I stand wearing nothing, and you know what I am? I am a big, hairy gorilla of a man with a big, beautiful, handsome face. I'm very proud of who I am and what I am. Body shaming will not work on me because I'm not ashamed of my body. And I'm proving it right here in front of all of my fans and anybody that comes across this video. This is what I am. This is my body. Is it perfect? Far from it. Is it ugly? No, not really. I'm a big guy, but I got a handsome face, and I'm confident in myself. I've always been confident in myself. I've dated many beautiful women, and I'm married to a very beautiful and voluptuous woman, as everyone's seen from my wedding video and other videos that Heather are in. And I've always been that way because I'm not ashamed of who and what I am. Does it need to be worked on for my health, which I've been doing? Yes. But am I ashamed of it? Absolutely not. And here you go. I'll even give you the side view. That's right. That big belly, and I've got the titty fat here. But, notice I have the tattoos. And on the back, my most famous tattoo, which is one of Darth Vader and the Death Star. Darth Vader's on my back. The most beautiful thing I have on my body that I will never see with my own eyes. So you know what? Take my advice. Be brave. Be unashamed. And be confident in who and what you are. Don't let just this define you. Let your confidence, your intelligence, your manners, your honor, and your self-respect reflect who and what you are. Because here I stand bare, and I'm just as confident as I am in those suits. The suits make me look good, but you know what? I think I look fine the way I am. And I have no qualms about showing it. You don't think I won't stand on a beach after doing this? You're bad wrong. If people look at me and don't like it, that's their business. And I'm sure there's something about them that I wouldn't like. So the basic ideal here is not just to have a defense and a thick skin about fat jokes and body shaming, but have an inner acceptance and an inner confidence, which automatically gives you the greatest armor against these type of attacks and this type of ridicule. Be who you are, accept who you are, be confident in who you are, and all that stuff blows away like leaves in the wind. It's insignificant. Well, that's about all I've got on body shaming and fat jokes and how to deal with it. In the long run, it comes down to ignore it, nullify it, don't take it, but most of all, the best defense is to accept who and what you are. Look, I'm standing here right now, no shirt on, and I am a big, heavy-set, hairy, fat, gorilla-like, beautiful, handsome, big, pretty man. And that's the approach that you should take as well. Because when you put that out there, that's what they're going to think of you. I promise. So if you are enjoying my channel, and enjoying my big mouth and my big body, then, please give me a like, leave me a comment. And if you haven't already joined, both share me and hit that subscription button. I'd love to have you part of the Big Pretty Nation. So, you know what? Accept who you are, dress to the nines, throw out that confidence, and you know what? Whether you're clothed or whether you're not clothed, you stay pretty.